Welcome back to my channel. This is Conrado Casalo, your favorite Dallas Filipino realtor. And today we have a special guest on Flip Friday, and this is episode 11. And we have Ate Rowena-Watters. So she is the first Filipino councilwoman here in DFW, correct?
I believe so.
It placed 7 in the city of Carrollton. But introduce yourself. How did you happen to just say, "Hey, I want to run"?
It's an instant. It's a beginning, but it's like an instant decision. I have been approached for several years, and I've always said no because I never thought that politics is something I want to go into. But my husband passed away last year.
Condolence.
Thank you. And it brought about a little bit of a soul searching and a little bit of emptiness.
Hmm.
And I figured, take service to the next level. I've been doing community work for over a decade.
You were the president of the Filipino Chamber of Commerce at one point, weren't you?
As of today, I still am.
Oh,
I still
okay.
am up until I need to step down, but I still am until our next meeting where we're going to have an election.
Oh, okay. So for some reason, I thought Kuya Rob, your brother, was the president.
No, the Philippine Chamber is a state chamber. So it's comprised of 5 full chambers.
So you're the
I'm the
statewide
state president.
president.
Robert is chair. The title is chair,
Hmm.
region chair for Dallas Fort Worth.
Okay, that
Yes.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
We have Houston, Rio Grande Valley, and Austin.
Wow, and you are the president of
State
all of.
president, yeah.
Congratulations. So
Thank you.
you have that's like more than just serving a community. That's serving like the whole state of
Yes, and we are
Filipinos.
growing. We are the biggest ethnic chamber in Texas, and we are probably, arguably, and I'm looking at stats, probably the fastest growing.
Wow.
Mhm.
And I'm new here. I've only been here for 2 years. But I heard you even had a storefront business in Carrollton.
Yes.
So you've always been an entrepreneur and a community servant.
Yes. Yeah, I started when I moved here. I moved here for my MBA, and then I met my husband, who refused to move to the Philippines. So instead of working for someone else,
Yeah.
I made the decision to just work as an outsource
Hmm.
provider of HR services. That was my first company.
Oh,
It
HR
was it's
services?
like a staffing. It's called the PEO, Professional Employer
Oh, so you
Organization.
had a staffing company.
Instead of staffing, but instead of temporary people for staffing, I employ them full time, full benefits, and I quote unquote lease them to doctors' offices and healthcare facilities.
Well,
And
that's
then
different.
yes, and I sold that business, and then I ventured into jewelry, which is right brain right
Yeah,
there.
that's two
And
different.
yeah, and this was in downtown Carrollton, and then that didn't pan. Well, it was doing okay,
Hmm.
but I was burned out.
Oh, yeah.
And an
Retail.
entrepreneur, once you feel you're burned out, it's not going to take you anywhere. Because my husband used to say, once you get into your business and you don't feel the passion anymore, you
Just
gotta make
leave.
some changes.
Yeah.
Yes. So after that, I bought a testing center in Louisville,
Oh, wow.
which I sold last year.
Oh,
So that's kind of my
testing like
entrepreneurial.
when people test for like real estate or
Yes,
insurance.
certification, Homeland Security employment. We do GEDs. We do academic
Oh
exams.
my gosh.
Yeah, we do all sorts. Over 400 exams.
That you've done or
But
that
we
that
are capable. We were capable. We are certified to provide at my testing center.
so were you there like all the time or did you just have
Oh, I had staff.
employees?
I had
Okay.
staff, but I was there most of the time,
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 times a week. And then the shifts, like the evening shift, we are open until there are days we're open until 9, and I usually have to be there. Or the busiest day, it's a weekend. So now I have my weekends.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So then you did the testing. So after the jewelry, that was the testing center the only business that you had after that or did you venture off in little like side businesses?
No, the testing center pretty much took my time. I believe that once you have a business,
Mhm.
you have to go all out
Yeah.
and make sure that you work on that business. Side gigs, I think, are good for people who are employed. It's wonderful. It gets you started on the
Yeah,
business.
until you could go full time on that
And
business.
it helps financially, I guess, but it's also a good start.
Yeah, it's really hard to dabble in so many things.
Mhm.
And I think that was my issue before, is even though I had this income, I just like to explore in all these different businesses, side businesses. I mean, I've always made money in whatever side business I did, but you're right. Like if you're not all in or all out in that one particular business, you're gonna spread yourself too thin unless you have employees in all of them, but it takes time to build that up.
Mhm. That's why it's very important you have a passion for what you do, even with your own business, because
So,
it has to excite you.
mhm.
Mhm.
And the jewelry didn't really
Yeah.
excite you
Well, it did.
at
It did
first.
for a while, yes. The thing is, it wasn't. There was so much competition, and I enjoyed the creative part of it, which is why I ventured into it because I was so exhausted with the cerebral part of it.
Yeah. So were
With
you
the staffing.
making jewelry
No,
or?
no, I was designing them and getting them done. I worked with jewelers from worldwide. I had suppliers from Hong Kong.
Oh.
The is from Hong Kong mostly. The pearls came from Japan and the Philippines. I specialized in pearls, but not just pearls. When you talk about sterling silver, for instance, I get it from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
There's really a good source there. The quality of the silver sometimes is superior to that of Italy. But when it comes to beaded jewelry, the ones that are handmade, then that would be from the Philippines.
Oh, so how did you start finding all the connections and resources to these different?
It started because actually it started before I formally started with my store.
Mm-hmm.
I had my PEO. I was running that and I was getting a little, it was too detailed for me and I needed a creative outlet. So I figured, you know, I might as well do my shopping. It wasn't expensive to start and enjoy it as a hobby. So I started going to jewelry shows in Hong Kong on the way to the Philippines because I would visit my family there
In Hong Kong.
in the
Oh, in the
Philippines. Mhm.
Philippines.
So I would stop by Hong Kong. I would
Oh,
find
you
it.
stopped by Hong Kong.
I would stop, and they would have enormous jewelry and accessory shows. Really huge.
And that's where you started just meeting
Uh-huh.
vendors.
Meeting vendors and seeing styles and talking to them, and then I met other people who can help me design and taught me, and then it went from there.
And then that's when you're like, I need a storefront.
I figured I was selling online.
Oh, at first.
It was a hobby. I was selling online.
Like where? Like Facebook
Yeah,
Market or
I had a website.
oh, on your own online
Hmm.
store.
Hmm. And it was very interesting because just the writing at that time and the photography, I would have the jewelry shipped to the Philippines, the
Uh-huh.
photographers in the Philippines.
Really?
Yeah. And then they would send me the digital results. So the
Oh.
models, it was, you have to find ways on how to leverage worldwide economies of
Mm-hmm.
scale and financial, how to save on the finances. It's business after all.
Yeah.
So I would find that some of the most creative models and photographers are in the Philippines.
You know, they say that before it goes viral on social media, they test it in the Philippines.
Really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I guess they're the closest to American, what Americans like and the
Mhm.
culture. I was like, I did not know that.
I did not know that. But I can see why.
Mm-hmm.
And we are also such in the Philippines. We are also such consumers of digital work.
There's a lot of like editors, photographers, even cold callers,
Mhm.
VAs, like anything that a business needs here in America, they could outsource to the
Mhm.
Philippines.
So much talent there.
So much, and it's pennies on the dollar for us, but for them, it's a lot of money. So we're actually in helping them enrich,
Mhm.
their lives.
Yes. It's not just the money, it's the training, the exposure. Because even if they have all this skill and all
Hmm.
this knowledge, if they don't practice, and we provide them with that outlet as well.
Now back to being a councilwoman. What's your goals for Carrollton? Like, what do you see happening in your term?
The city of Carrollton is run very well. There's hardly anything that I can contribute except that to be there. In terms of what I can help them with, I'm still trying to figure out where my place is, but I can see that representation from community is important.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a sense of unity, that the communities are not there yet. There's
Yes.
sort of a separation between ethnic communities, and it would be good to be able to get them all together. I'm not sure if that's very ambitious, but I can certainly start with
I think you
something.
could do it.
Yeah, I think we can start. I certainly have developed a lot of relationships across Asian communities and across other communities
In Carrollton.
not just in Carrollton,
Oh, all over.
because I was on the board of the Asian Chamber for 8, 9 years, I
Oh,
believe,
wow.
before I joined the Philippine Chamber.
And you were part of DEC too.
Yes, for a while, but mostly in terms of I had my office over at the Treehouse, and when they need assistance, sometimes as a speaker or whatnot, and I would jump in and help out.
I met a lady over there and she said she knew you. And I'm like, man, you know everybody.
I've been networking for many, many years.
No, that's a good thing because a lot of Filipinos, they're shy. What I see, like they're talented, but they don't get out there. There's like a select few,
Hmm.
and you're one of them that actually goes out in the different circles outside of the Filipino community. So a lot of the Filipino business owners that I've come across, not just here in Dallas, but even in Seattle, they like to stick to Filipinos because that's the culture,
Hmm.
that's what they know. But for you, it seems like you're going out everywhere. It doesn't really matter what ethnic group that you're in, you know how to relate, you know how to congregate with them. And I believe that's like a skill and a training that God has put you in over these years, that now that you're the city councilwoman over there in Carrollton, because you've made those connections and you've made like the knowledge and information, you know how to put people together.
It's a blessing for sure. And I've had so many blessings over the many, many years. Oh, my whole lifetime. But one of the things that exposed me to to international cultures, because
Hmm.
I used to work for the hotel industry in the
Oh,
Philippines, and then I also worked in China, or in I worked for Shangri-La in China, and then for Westin. And like in the Shangri-La, it was huge, and there were like 71, I believe 71 expats there,
wow.
Filipinos and Europeans and Asians and Germans and all such.
So you were able to mingle
I have
with,
I have a comfort level with, and I am not ashamed of my being Filipino. I'm
yeah.
not ashamed if I have an accent,
Hmm.
and I am not ashamed to tell them where I've been.
I
So,
can't even tell.
mhm.
You don't even really have a Filipino accent.
Oh, I do. My TH is always a D. My husband used to tease me about that.
Really?
The girl,
Oh,
the girl. And I have to be very conscious. My vowels are okay. It's a
oh, the TH. Because you speak so eloquent. Like the way that you speak, there's not a lot of, I don't hear a lot of ums and likes and filler words when you speak. I have a lot of those.
But just speak the way you're comfortable speaking. That's the other thing about Filipinos. They think because their English is not, they think it has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. All it needs is for people to understand you and to see your genuineness, and that would carry the whole conversation and your networking goals. And they don't see that. A lot of them would say, there's one in particular, and she's very successful
Hmm.
and she's very smart, but she says, I have to take classes. I said, you don't need to take classes.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to take
You don't need
classes.
to take classes. You're fine. Just practice and get to know people.
Now, you were the first candidate that ran as a Democrat, but you had backing from the Republicans.
Hmm.
How did that happen?
Relationships. I am now an independent, I have to
Hmm.
say that. But I started out as being a Democrat because it was closest. I was an activist in the Philippines for me
Yeah,
to see the how it is being a Democrat. But what happened was I've always been doing community work, and I really didn't care what the political
yeah.
side. This was politics was never one of my goals,
Hmm.
so I really didn't care as long as we achieve what we set out to
Exactly.
achieve. So if we were doing a festival in Carrollton, for instance, we really don't care
No one
because
cares.
no one cares.
Yeah.
We just need to be able to show our culture.
Hmm.
If we're working on something like a humanitarian work, it doesn't matter as long as you get the goods to where
They're
it's
not
supposed to
looking
go.
at which party is throwing it.
Exactly. And I just didn't realize how many of those relationships would be able to help me through
Mm.
the years. Somebody asked me in an interview over the weekend over in Houston, uh, what i- what do you think made you successful when the others have failed, they've run and lost? I think it's because of long-term relationships, and that's actually something that's missing in our Filipino mindset.
Yes.
We look at things very short-term, very myopic.
Hmm.
It's maybe because it's the economic situation. We have this isang tuka. Have you
What is
heard of
that?
that?
No.
It's like a chicken. You pick one up and then you eat it.
And then you eat it.
Something. Yeah, you eat it. It's one at a time. You survive day by day.
Okay. I
Modality.
see what you mean on
But
that.
what we really need is to be able to see long term.
Yes,
And
I
that's
agree.
something that's really sorely lacking in our mindset. So if you ask me what carried me through, I didn't realize that long-term relationships have progressed to a point wherein my friends who are Republicans
Mm-hmm.
have seen the service, and I didn't realize how much it was valued.
So they didn't look at you as a Republican or Democrat.
No, they saw me as a person in the community who can help.
And they knew that you didn't, because there's like the Republican agenda, there's the Democrat agenda.
And there is the service agenda.
And they didn't look at you like, oh, she's just going to push her agenda on us. No, they looked at you as like, we could see her fit to serve, and she is really for the people.
Because I guess my record said that. I'm guessing that's what they saw. I'm hoping that's what they saw.
Yeah, because when people join the Filipino Chamber of Commerce, even though you're the president, they're not saying like, is this a Democratic Party? They don't say that, or is this Republican?
No, we are there to promote Filipino entrepreneurship, to help Filipinos and their friends,
Yes.
and anyone who's connected with the Philippines as professionals, as entrepreneurs, and to help them out. And then we also have the foundation, of course, which sees to the humanitarian effort, but it has nothing to do with politics. In fact, our bylaw says no politics and no religion.
Oh, there you go.
Uh-huh. I mean, we all recognize that we all believe in something
Mhm.
greater than us,
Yes.
a deity, a God, an Allah, and we all believe that. But right here, we serve as one.
Yeah. It's not about that, because politics and religion does split people in half. I mean, you've seen it in COVID, during the COVID times.
And it's not, the intention is good because people are passionate with what they believe in, and rightly so. But we have to understand that sometimes we forget that the other person believes in his faith
Yeah.
also.
You got to meet them where they're at.
Exactly.
So now, when you say that you want to get like the different ethnic groups together, do you have a plan for that, or you haven't wrote that out yet?
No, I have to. The terrain is very important. I'm understanding a lot more than what I saw before, because I
Mhm.
was like, if I have a project I'm working on in Carrollton or elsewhere, you focus on that one. You
Mhm.
focus on the people around you. Well, now I have to see it differently. Like we had a storm.
Yeah.
We had a storm, and there's a lot of debris.
You mean a couple weeks ago where all those
A
trees
couple-
fell down? Yeah.
Exactly. So cities are still scrambling.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a lot of emails from frustrated people about the debris. So
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
so it really doesn't matter. By the way, I have to say that city positions in city council and the mayoral, it's actually non-partisan.
Mm.
So it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or. That's why you don't see it.
Yeah.
And that's why our election is different. It's not in November; it's in May.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for that. And now it's debris. It could be a pothole. Somebody said a pothole is neither blue nor red. It's a pothole. It has to be filled.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now, what do you think of putting a Filipino community center in Carrollton?
Oh,
Is it possible?
It is possible. We just have to put our heads around it and then figure out the long term.
The long term.
The long term is what will carry us through.
When I first moved here, I didn't really know the area. And when I started to travel, I started to see that Carrollton seemed to me like it's in the middle of everything. And you have George Bush right there. Then you have Dallas Tollway right there. And then you have 35 right there. And so with Carrollton, like everything kind of feeds off, even though Dallas, it shows a spider web.
Mhm.
But most of that part in Dallas is commercial buildings. It's not residential.
Mhm.
So people are living on like the east and the west side, and then the north and the south. And I believe that if we did have either a Filipino community center or like Seafood City, or something where it's like a Filipino, like our own Ranch 99, our own
Mhm.
Smart, Carrollton would be the spot.
Carrollton should be the spot.
I've been trying to tag them.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They don't want to. They don't want to come here. And
Yeah.
Seafood City, you're missing out.
Absolutely. It's always a give and take. Always.
We have a Seafood City in Tequila. That's like 15 minutes south from Seattle,
Mhm.
and maybe like 30 minutes north from Tacoma, and it's in the mall. And a lot of Filipinos I know, they travel sometimes an hour away to get to Seafood City. But it seems that there's enough Filipinos here that Seafood City would make a killing because even Jollibee's is always packed.
And Seafood City has a good standard. And that's the one I like about
Mm-hmm.
Seafood City. They're always clean.
They're
Always,
clean.
people are always nice. They know what they're doing. And so, Seafood City, we kind of like you.
You heard that. So now you said that the terrain and the thing that you have to focus on for building the ethnic group, what's the first stage? Mm-hmm.
I need to find out what they need. Make sure that they are aware that they are represented regardless of who I am, a Filipino,
Yeah.
regardless. It's very important for them to trust me, to be able to, and for me to be able to know them and build a relationship with them. It's always, always relationships.
Yes.
As a first phase. The second is once I know what it is they need and what will bring them together. Right now, I don't know all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
I need to meet them. So that's how you start. I always believe that in any project, this is just my experience for many, many years. You build a foundation first. That's based on what you know. How many people are there? Who's interested? Would this serve them? Is this something that will, answer some of their questions
Mm-hmm.
or their needs?
Does it solve a problem?
Exactly. The marketing, the basic marketing
Yeah.
questions, right? So once you answer that, then you find out what resources are available. And then you go. And then you go. And then you start to inspire people, sell them into the idea. So until you have that basics, for instance, if you go, let's use the community center as an example. You need a blueprint. Where is it going to be? I see the cost, but how does it break down?
Yeah.
Because people will want to give you money only if they see that it's really a
Where's the money
project.
going
Where's the
to?
money going to? Yeah, and what's it going to do? How long is it going to be held? And so they need to visualize.
Yep.
You need a blueprint. You need an illustration of where the building is, and then once you have that, then you figure out who you sell the idea to and how much it's going to cost, and then you fly from there, and then you use your passion for that because we are all passionate.
Yeah.
So go use your passion and sell it. That's where the emotion comes in.
Yep.
Then you appeal on their emotions, but you have the numbers, the objectives, the objective part of it. You already have it down pat.
Mm-hmm.
So you use the emotion to get them in, and then you show them this is what we have. So you use both mind and heart.
That's true because that's exactly what I was telling Mark, and Ate Elna is supposed to be the architecture working on the drawings
Mhm.
and the blueprint, because you don't just say, "Hey, we got money to build a house," and then it's like, where's this money going
Mhm.
to? You don't even have a blueprint of the house.
Yeah.
But coming from Seattle, we have 4 Filipino community centers. And what's nice about those Filipino community centers is they use those to host events like galas, New Year's parties, pretty much what the Filipinos here are already doing. And when you look at the cost breakdown of events, we're probably spending about 200,000 a year with all the different organizations throw an event. I mean, with the Lone Star Palenque, I think last year we spent 30 grand just to throw that event. And then you have like PhilCon, it's like sometimes 5 to 10 grand for the Kalayan,
Easy. Yeah.
and then how many Kalayans is going on at the same time. In fact,
Mhm.
next year, my goal is to have all the Filipino organizations to throw one Kalayan, maybe in Richardson or Carrollton, somewhere around there, and just get everybody together and say, why do we have 3 going on in one day and people have to pick and choose? Why don't we all just put our heads together and have one?
Because sometimes there is similarity in what they do. So what I would mind if I make a
Yeah,
suggestion?
go for it.
Okay. Let them do what they want to do, but under one umbrella.
Yes.
Under one umbrella, and just suggest
Mm-hmm.
that can you do it within 1 week. So Houston had the consular Independence Day flag raising, and then the same week they had that large event which everybody participated. And do you know how that came into the before that Houston had separate also.
Oh,
They
really?
all separate. When the consul general came into Houston about 6 years ago, one of the first things on their agenda is they found out that people are asking why there are so many.
Yep.
And we're lucky that the consulate is over there, so it was easier. So they gathered all the community. What are we going to do? And they also already have a community center, although it's not large enough to hold everything.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what format it has taken, but they are able to put events together. And now there's a lot, or there's a semblance of unity where there was none. It's not impossible for the that
We could
route.
do it.
We could do it. And what you can do, and there was an incident also in, I believe this was New York, but I might be wrong. I don't get sued. So I'm not going to detail. I think it's New York. I'm not sure. But there was also conflict because there were several events going on for Independence Day.
Yeah.
They eventually started suing each other.
What?
So when it came to court, the judge and I think Gas Mercado said he had the wisdom of Solomon.
Yeah.
So the judge said, "This is not difficult. This year you hold it. Next year you head it. Next year." So they have since taken turns
Holding it.
holding it.
Mm.
So if it's this year, for instance, you have the RDC will spearhead the event. Everybody will participate.
Yep.
The following year, it could be PCC. The following year, it could be Philcon. Okay? It could be. I mean, there are so many and so many ways.
So many
that we can do
options.
this. But we need to get together to be able to do it. To see things as
One. Well, because that's what I'm used to. In Seattle, we have Pagdiriwan,
Mhm.
and it's a 2-day event. And all the different Filipino organizations would come. You know where Space Needle's at? It's
Mhm.
held right there at Seattle
Oh,
Center.
wow. Okay.
And so you have like a bunch of Filipino dance groups, like yeah, everything. The singers. So it's like a whole couple days event for that. Even Arpisa Sanayon over there is massive. Like it it trumps the Palenque. The Palenque is like little compared to
Yeah.
how it is over there.
Yeah.
And everybody just comes together and they know, hey, in August 2nd, this is the event. And from like morning to night, you can't even find parking. People are parking like blocks and blocks and blocks
Yeah.
away and walking up hills to get to this event. But what's nice is they actually had their amphitheater in the front, and then in the back was all the vendors, and then in the middle was all the people. And
Mhm.
there's thousands of people, and I'm like, I want that for DFW
Yeah.
because I grew up on that.
It's possible. I chaired the Asian Festival. I chaired it, and we had it in Fair Park. And Fair Park gave us a really good deal at that time, so we held it there. But it's also a dart station.
Mm,
So even if it's difficult to get there, people can just take the dart.
take the dart.
Yeah, and end up right there. And we clocked in about, I believe, 11,000 people.
See,
Yeah.
for an
And
Asian
for
festival,
an Asian festival, yeah. And the Dallas police were the ones doing the
the
clocking in.
clocking.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we had them, and they were very helpful. So
See, that's
it's
amazing.
possible.
If you could do that, that was 11 years ago. You said,
Yeah, 2016.
oh, 2016.
2016, I believe, is when we did it.
So about like 8 years
Years
ago,
Yeah,
you could do it again.
yeah, can do it again.
Just we got to put our heads together.
Mhm.
Now, for the Filipino Community Center, if we did have it in Carrollton, what would be the first stage?
First stage is to put your plan together. I guess have a conversation with somebody from the city. My guess is I already had a conversation with the economic director a few years ago
Mm-hmm.
for a multicultural
Event center,
event
community center.
and it just didn't pan out, one reason or the other. But you can start that conversation with them and see where it takes you. If Carrollton doesn't work out, then you can go to the next city, go
Yeah.
to the next, take the same pattern, but have a plan. Okay, have a plan and the cost and how much space. There was an effort to build an Asian center in Harry Hines. Harry Hines is the Asian trading district, I believe. Is what it's
Really?
called.
Didn't know
Hines
that.
have. And do you know that Harry Hines, that Asian trade district, brings more tax money than North Park?
You're talking about like where H Mart and everywhere, like around that area?
No, that's Carrollton. I'm talking about the Harry Hines area, which is Dallas.
Oh,
Okay.
off 75?
Uh-huh. That brings into the city of Dallas more tax revenue than North Park.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's very good. Anyway, they thought of putting a community's Asian centers, and there were architectural plans and there was everything. Somebody offered to donate land at that time, which is like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That was before my time at the Asian Chamber, and some of the members felt it was too small.
The land?
They rejected it.
Oh.
They never had the same opportunity again.
Mm.
So one of the things is you have your plan, but you have to be able to be flexible,
Yeah.
yeah, and be wise about it. Because the whole idea is you have the center and it should be surrounded by retailers.
Yep.
Okay. So the person donating it was wise enough to know that if he gives this land, the condition was he'd be allowed to build retail stores all around it, which was wise
Yeah.
because it brings in people from everywhere.
Yep.
But they felt that they wanted more land.
And
You have to be
that's
flexible about this
hmm
whole thing.
and you got to be grateful for someone donating
Yeah.
land.
So some of the members of that commission, I should say, decided to go on their own. So some of those ethnic communities started building their own centers. So
Oh, okay.
they've lost that test.
Wow.
And,
So I want to know, is there anything that you want to talk about? Like anything that you want the audience who are watching to hear, like promote anything or something important?
yeah. Well, I'm still with the Asian, with the Philippine Chamber, and I will always be part of the Philippine Chamber. It's very close to my heart, and the goals are very close to what I would like to achieve. But we are celebrating 15 years this October, and we're going to have a gala at the gala at the Gaylord. The
Okay.
gala is, we only have a gala every 5 years.
Oh,
The
wow.
last one was 10 years ago. We don't do it every year. So the gala will celebrate. It's also where we will be awarding outstanding Filipinos.
Wow.
So I believe the nomination has already been opened and will probably be formally launched by the beginning of July. And who's chairing it is Eileen Ligot Dizon from Houston,
Oh, okay.
and she's chairing the whole thing. So it's a statewide thing.
Oh,
So
it's not just the Philippine
not just-
Chamber in Dallas.
yes, it's a statewide because we're celebrating 15 years of state.
Wow.
So it's what we're going to be awarding Filipinos that evening at the gala. The following day, we're going to have the leadership forum, where we're going to be inviting, and the word is inviting, community leaders around Texas. But since we're in DFW, we'll probably have more DFW, and we'll be having some speakers in the morning, and then a presentation of the regional chairs of the chamber.
So it's a
to
2-day
show-
event.
It's a 2 day event,
Okay.
essentially. But the big one is the most attended one will be the gala
Yeah.
on the 18th, and on the 19th it's by invitation.
So September 18th,
No, October.
October 18th,
18th.
and 19th.
Yes, and you'll be hearing more about the gala in the next few weeks. But we already launched the save the date, and it's going to be amazing.
So make sure October 18th you come dressed like James Bond if you're a guy.
It is black tie. It is
Black
formal.
tie, a formal event. It's going to be upscale and you're going to meet a lot of the wonderful not just DFW, but members of the Filipino Chamber of Commerce in the whole state of Texas, and there's 5.
And there's 5, and we'll also be having members of the Coalition of Filipino American Chambers of Commerce of the U.S. So the president will be here, Jerry.
Is that almost like COFAL?
Sorry.
Oh,
That's
COFACC.
That is COFACC.
Okay.
Coalition Filipino American Chambers of Commerce. So that is COFACC, and that's where they're going to be there.
So there's going to be more even people from
Yes.
other states.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because we are active members of COFACC. In fact, we are the first chamber to join them outside of California, because it started in California. The very first members they had outside of California is Texas.
And were you the one that said, "Hey, let's join them"?
Yes, and we're also, well, no, it was Gus Mercado.
Oh, okay.
He's one of their, Gus and Ethel are one of their advisors.
Oh,
Two
wow.
of their advisors, I should say. And they started out, because COFACC started about the year before I became state president. It was when I was chairing the FW.
Oh, okay.
And we're very active with COFACC because we believe in their goals. And
What
we
are their
also-
goals?
The goals is unification and being professional as a chamber. A lot of the chambers started out as cultural.
Mm-hmm.
And in Texas, it started out as outreach. So it wasn't very business oriented. But
Before.
Before. It's certainly it's a fun place to be.
Yeah.
It's social. You get to meet Filipinos from everywhere. And, you share time, you dance, you sing,
Yeah.
which is something.
And
that we don't do.
Filipinos love dancing and singing.
Absolutely. It's like in our DNA. But as we've grown, we recognize that this is very limited. It's really not serving. It's that chamber should be a chamber. There are 3 things that we have become aware of what to avoid not necessarily avoid, but do less of.
Yeah.
for chambers. I mean, I'm not saying about the other organizations because they have different missions, but the chamber, a Filipino chamber, pageants, parades, and parties.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve your entrepreneurs. It doesn't
It
serve them
it
much.
doesn't. And we
Yeah.
need the
We need
entrepreneurs.
entrepreneurs. We need to be able to help the professionals be better professionals in this
Yes,
field.
I agree.
Yeah. So the parties we can't avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, the parties.
You
That's
got to
what
have the
makes us.
parties.
Yeah, we have
That's
our
how you
mixes.
reel the people
Yeah.
in, right?
Yes.
And then it's when they join the organizations is where they actually learn skills that they need for entrepreneurship.
Yes. We have courses like between COFACC and our chamber. We've had courses on AI, for instance.
Mm,
If you're not from last year, we were already pushing understand AI
yeah.
and what it's going to do to your business and for your profession.
Yep. You can't be behind the times, behind the
Exactly.
the AI.
You find yourself out of work and out of business. It's just that big. Professionalism in networking, for instance, other things that we need to know. So there's a wealth of information, and between COFAC and the Philippine Chamber, that we would like to push. So we are becoming more of what a chamber should be.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's not just a club. Yeah.
It's just that our goal has to be we have to meet our goals. We have to live by our mission, and that's less pageant.
Well, you have other organizations that already do that.
And we support them.
Yes, and let them take care of that because we still need that. I give it to Filipino dancing, like Filipino culture dancing. I grew up, in a barangay Filipino dance group, and before that, I was really shy. I was so shy that in elementary, like in kindergarten, I would pee my pants pretty much every week because I was so scared to raise my hand. And then when I got into Filipino dancing and I was able to perform in front of a crowd for the first time, something inside me was like, "Oh, wait a minute, it's okay." And the more and more I perform in front of people, the more confidence I actually built in myself. And so I always tell people, "Hey, if you can put your kids into some sort of activity, even Filipino dancing, because then we got to hear the stories behind how those dances were made and like the history, the culture of Philippines, and then being around other Filipinos. One thing that the generation after mine today, what they're missing is their identity because their parents, they grew up here in America, so they don't really know the language. And then when they raise their kids, they're more Americanized than Filipino. And so a lot of kids out of before college, they don't have the identity until they join clubs like FSA. And they say, "Oh man, I love being Filipino now." Where before, when I was in the room and I was the only Filipino, I didn't want to be recognized as a Filipino. That's what I hear a lot of the younger generation say. And so it gives you a stepping stone from the beginning of like really growing up until, when you become an adult and you join organizations like Chamber of Commerce. And now you're not afraid to say that I'm Filipino. And it gives you the confidence to really stand out and to be who you are made to be. So I believe in what you guys are doing.
We have a very rich history in the Philippines. Dancing, for instance, it's wonderful to see the dancing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more important to see why and
Why?
where it started.
Yep.
So when Filipinos sometimes we think that just because we use a spoon and a fork instead of a knife, they think that's inferior. It is not.
It's not.
Use your hands. There's nothing wrong.
There's not,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. Use your hands. It's part of our culture.
I like using my hands more when it's like finger food, like
Uh-huh.
rice and meat and
Yeah.
stuff. I don't want to use a fork and a spoon.
Yeah, I mean, we know where to use it. Well, use your spoon and fork. You're in the field, we have banana leaf right there. Use your hands. There is a story on why we use our and why we gather that way to eat together with our hands. It started with the farmers. So you have that story behind what we do.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing shameful about being
And it's
different.
culture.
It's culture.
And if you lack culture, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, you have the roots. You lose your roots. There is a Filipino who approached me a few years ago, and he said he was born here
Mm-hmm.
in the US. His father, I believe, was in the military, and he was told to avoid the Filipino community.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know the reason behind it because it was not in Texas, and I was not about to ask.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is now he's here, and he says, my daughter once is asking me about being a Filipino, and I don't know what to tell her.
Oh, wow.
So, and I started inviting him to events that we have to understand. I think the idea was sometimes Filipinos have infighting,
Mm-hmm.
but we should look beyond that. If we look beyond that, we're not going to have infighting
Yeah.
because then we understand that, why are we doing this when there's a bigger mission that we have to accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
We have larger goals.
That's true, and it's sad when the parents can't teach their kids about Filipino culture, like not even one bit.
Mm.
But where can people find you online on social media?
I do have a Facebook because our members love Facebook. The
Yeah.
Filipino community loves Facebook. So you can find me mostly on Facebook.
Okay.
I have my personal page, which is Rowena Raroque-Watters. And then I have my campaign, which I started about when I started
Yeah.
Rowena Watters, I think for Carrollton 7. I mean, you're going to find it. And so that's where you can find me. It's easiest to reach me there through Messenger, I guess. But also, there is the website for the city of Carrollton also lists me, my bio, and the contact. So there's an email there, which is
Okay.
the city of Carrollton, and you can also reach me from there.
So what I'll do is I'll put all that information in the description. So if you want to get a hold of her, if you want to talk about or ask her questions about either joining the Chamber of Commerce, what can you do to help to serve the community, also being a part of what she's doing in the city of Carrollton, you could email her, contact her through Facebook, and you could start a conversation. Is there any like one last word that you want to
Yes,
say?
running for office.
Okay.
If you feel like you want to serve, you can serve. I'm talking to you too. We badly need representation. The fact that we're still researching this,
Uh-huh.
but from what we have seen, and please, if you have information, I'd welcome it. We don't see any Filipino elected official in Texas.
No,
Then
there's
I've been searching. A few names would come up, but then when I verify, it's not correct. And AI would even correct itself. I made a mistake. It's not this person. Okay. So we're still trying to find that. But the fact that even if we have two or three, and let's say I'm the fourth, right now it looks like I'm the first one. It's really a sad commentary on why we're not represented. We've been in Texas for
so long, over
so
50
long,
years.
more than 50
Yeah.
years. The first, more than 50 years actually. And if you look beyond Texas, let's say as close as Louisiana, I believe there is I don't know what you call it, an area there where Filipinos settled.
There is.
There
The
is.
Filipinos actually taught the African slaves how to build huts on the water and how to dry shrimp.
There you go. So we have that behind us. And we are only now finding that we can run and we can win. I mean, if you want to run, reach out to me, please. We are hoping to come up with something, a movement of sorts, or maybe an organization. I'm not sure what it will take. But we encourage you to please be the representative of the Filipino community. Be a representative, be a face, be a voice, inspire others to run for office. And we are hoping to come up with a movement to help you win, regardless of what party you are.
Well, that just inspired me to want to run, but I'm
Okay.
gonna need a lot of guidance from
We
you.
need you. We need Filipinos to run. We need to see our face, our features, our size, and our voice. We need to see that there. We need to show our children that it's possible. Think of your children, if not only yourself. Provide them with an example of what it is to be an American.
Mm,
We are Filipino Americans after all. And this is
yes,
our chosen country. And this country has been good to us. So we need to
I
serve it.
agree.
We provide the face and the voice of the Filipino in a country that has been good to us.
I agree completely to that. So that concludes our show. We want to thank you for watching, and if you want to reach out to Ate Rowena, I'm gonna put all her links on the description, so that way you can run if you want to run. And I encourage any Filipinos here in Texas, DFW area especially, we got to put our mark and have a place in this society. With that being said, y'all have a wonderful day.